I'm still buying houses at 2, 3, 4% interest rates, right? And no one has ever asked for my W-2. No one knows my credit. That part's actually easy.
Welcome to the Idaho Real Estate Investor Show, where we bring strategies and knowledge that will help you succeed in Idaho's ever-changing real estate market. I'm Jonna Weber. I'm an Idaho investor, realtor, and entrepreneur. I've been successfully investing for over 2 decades and helping countless others do the same. We'll bring you real stories from successful investors, expert advice, and insights to help you build generational wealth through the power of real estate. Whether you're just getting started or well on your way, let's jump in. Hey friends, I am fresh off my interview with Peymon Hashimoto. Peymon is a cool dude. He is here in Idaho. However, he is investing both in state and several areas outside of the state too. And so you're going to hear about different strategies, how that works for some out-of-state investing. But really, the coolest thing that I think would be of interest to most people is that the way that he acquires his portfolio and obtains cash flow through real estate is through creative financing, both through sub-2s and wrap mortgages. You're going to learn what those mean a little bit more in this podcast and really be able to employ some new strategies or at least some ideas for how to think a little bit side out the box when you're looking at your investing journey. You're going to love it. We're also going to talk about how he is a breakout speaker at our Idaho Recon coming October 10th. I hope you have your ticket. If not, you can grab them while you're listening to the episode. We're going to have a good time. Without further ado, here's my interview with Peymon. Hey friends, welcome back to the Idaho Real Estate Investor Show. Today, we have a treat for you. We've got someone from out of the Treasure Valley area, but still close neighbor of ours in Idaho. And it's a perfect time as we've just transitioned from Boise Reen to Idaho Reen. We're going to have a great conversation today, going to all the things related to creative financing, sub-2 wrap mortgages, even investing out of state. So you're going to want to sit down, have your cup of coffee in hand, and really get ready to take some notes with this one. And I want to introduce you to my new friend, Peymon Hashimoto. Peymon, you are from Twin Falls area, correct?
I've been here for about a year and 3 years in
Okay.
Pocatello. So,
Oh,
yeah.
Pocatello. Okay, great. I want to know all the things because for all you listeners out here, we just recently got acquainted and we have a reason to come together besides being common thread of being real estate investors. But Peymon has been tapped to be a breakout speaker at our upcoming conference, Idaho Recon. And that is coming up October 10th. We are so excited. I'm excited that you agreed to participate and be part of this exciting inaugural event. In light of that, I want to make sure that everyone gets to know you and what you're doing right now in your investing journey. I know you've been involved for a long time, but for the listeners that don't know who you are, can you give us a little background about, first of all, your ties to Idaho and how your childhood started into your start of your investing journey?
Yeah, born in Dallas, Texas. I started real estate in 2010 as a personal banker. Bought my first property traditionally, like everyone does, 20% down, pre-approval, find an agent, all that. Since then, about 4 years ago now, my fiance at the time, wife now, got accepted, and we were living in California, and we got accepted to the college in Pocatello. So at that moment, I was already kind of deep in traditional real estate. So it didn't matter where we lived. In fact, I was like, great, let's get out of California. My income doesn't change. So we went to Pocatello and spent 2-3 years there and been about a year in Twin. And ever since basically right when I moved to Pocatello, I got into creative real estate, and that's really changed things around.
Oh, I love it. Hey, Idaho investors, here's a stat that might surprise you. Over 70% of successful real estate investors say their best deals didn't come from the MLS or from a cold online lead. They came through their network. So if you're serious about growing your portfolio, it's time to get in the right room. Join Idaho Reen, the Idaho Real Estate Investor Network, an affiliate of the National RIA. We're here to inspire, connect, and equip you to build real wealth through real estate. Success doesn't happen in isolation. Get in the room where it's happening. Visit idahoreen.com and join us today. Okay, so where in California were you?
4 years I spent in Southern California around San Fernando Valley, Ventura, Encino, Burbank.
Mhm.
And then 4 years before that, I was up north in the Pacific Grove, Monterey Bay area, top and bottom.
Cool. You're speaking to a lot of people that migrated from the area, as you know. That's really cool to hear. In 2010, that's interesting. That's when really 2011 that we got serious with real estate investing too. So I know very much the market that you were operating in then. What was the price when you were investing down there in 2010? Was that you were focused on foreclosures? I know there was a plethora of them.
Yeah, so I was renting a 2 bedroom, 1 bath with my roommate. The total rent was $1,200 at the time, 2010, Southern California.
Wow.
I was working as a personal banker. My friend, who was another personal banker, had a short sale. And for everyone who's listening, you might think short sale or a discount sale, it's going to be quick. The bank wants to get rid of it. Not the case. They call it short sale. It should be called long sale, but it takes a
Amen.
long it takes a long time to do it. Anyways, I bought a condo, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, 90,000. I knew nothing of real estate. My mortgage payment was $636 a month. And just based on that, I was like, oh, this makes sense. Like my rent was 12, now it's 600. Me and my roommate, I was like, hey, you just want to still be my roommate and live with me at my new spot I just bought? And that's what I did. I just sat on that
Exact.
property. Yeah, for 7 years. I just did that and then sold it for 249 7 years later. And then that was like, wait. Okay. Investing. I have a nest egg now. I can do stuff. And that's where it all kind of started. But yeah,
Okay. Cool. Okay, so that's where it started. You sold that, and then what?
bought another condo in a not great area, Van Nuys area, if anyone knows, in California. Upgraded it too much. Granite countertops, even waterfall granite on the side. So I did too much in not the right neighborhood. Still came out on top. And then I started thinking, you know what? This passive income that I keep hearing about, I think I want to buy rentals. I think I want to buy rentals and do long-term renting. Got to about 9 or 10 of those. And I realized the best way to put it is, I'll put it on me. My personality type, when I think passive, I think passive. Doesn't mean I want to manage property managers. It doesn't mean I want to hear excuses about rent. It doesn't mean. So it just started weighing on me that, wait, I'm saving all this money. I'm working hard to buy another set of problems, like another rental.
Mm-hmm.
Am I doing this wrong? Do people do it better? So my critique was, well, vet the tenants better or vet this better. But when you scale, it's just a matter of time, right? Like you have 10, 20, 30. You're going to get calls. You're going to get late rents. You're going to you have to kick out people, evictions. And also something I didn't know, you can only have 10 mortgages.
Oh my gosh, I wish I would have known that better when we started getting ours. Yep.
And so the dream that I was sold of passive income started not becoming so passive, yet people think I'm big time. Oh, you're buying this. You have 10 rentals. Wow. It sounds great. But the behind scene operation was like, here comes the first. Where are the excuses? Who's late? What do we have to do? What are the maintenance requests? Blah, blah, blah. And this is a good intro. I had a list full of people, investors that I emailed when I found a good cash flowing asset. At the time, 10% cash on cash return was like what I was looking for. And so I would email people, hey guys, I found a new one. Who wants to partner? Whatever. And someone told me, I'm sorry, take me off your list. This is ridiculous, or something like that. And I was like, wait, what's going on? And I always like to add, I don't like to just take no's. I want to know, well, what do you have? Do you have something better? What did I do something wrong? Whatever it is. He described to me, so wait a second. It's 10% for the whole year. And I said, yeah. He goes, no, yeah. So I put in 20,000 and I buy a house. And then I get 30,000 down payment in about 3 months or less. And I make about 200-300 a month. But I don't have to worry about repairs or what are you describing to me right now? I don't understand. And so he was describing creative finance subject to wraps. And so subject to is the acquisition strategy.
Okay.
What normal people would consider you buy, like a mortgage. Could be FHA 5% down, 3% down. It could be DSCR. All that is acquisition buying strategies.
Right.
And then wraps, or seller finance wraparound mortgages, is the disposition strategy. Most people, their strategies are long-term rental, mid-term rental, short-term rental, or just sell it. Value add, fix and flip, fix it, sell it off traditionally. So basically what this means is he was taking over other people's loans, then turning it around and selling as seller finance to someone who can't qualify for a mortgage, or maybe they can, and making the arbitrage or the difference between the two. So if you take over a 4% loan and your payments are $2,000 a month, he would turn around and sell it to somebody for 5% and $2,300 a month. And so since he's collecting a mortgage payment, no CapEx, no repairs, no management, no vacancy, I was like, oh, this is the passive. This is fitting more of what I want. And so for that,
Interesting.
changed the whole shift just in my investment strategy. I'm at 18 right now, sub 2 wraps specifically this way.
Okay. Let's back up.
There's a whole big world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to unpack this. But while you're doing this, when you first started that, what's your professional background? Were you working a W-2 job, or you had a business, or what?
Yeah, that's a fun one. I was a waiter, waiting tables in Pacific Grove, Monterey Bay area, Cannery Row, you might know, Fisherman's Wharf.
Yeah.
For people who don't know the area or anything, literally like a retirement, beautiful place, Northern California, where people are just comfortable, affluent. Tips every night. In that time, I was taking home $300-$400 cash a night from a shift. And I started working at 2-3 different restaurants. Crazy shifts. And I was addicted to the fast cash. That was great. From there was a tech startup for food delivery. Now we're kind of, DoorDash, Postmates have taken over, but in the early days, there was kind of a boom of all these food delivery stuff that was happening. So someone I knew that was starting a food delivery hired me, saw me at the restaurant, liked me, started becoming a dispatcher at a startup. And so just being in the startup world, did all that. And then slowly the startup didn't go well. The big dollars like DoorDash, Postmates took over. But at the exact same timing, real estate took off, rentals took off. So I started phasing out of my W-2 job. I don't think I've had a job, I want to say the past 6 years, 5 years. I haven't had a W-2 income at all.
That's awesome.
That was my son, and I go off into a different world. So professionally, that's kind of, yeah.
Wow. Were you married yet at that time?
No, I just got married August 8th.
Oh, congratulations. My son got married August 3rd. It was a good month to get married this last year. Because I was wondering about that, because that's a big thing, right? To be able to take that leap of faith to get rid of that job and that safety net to move forward. How many properties did you have using this method, if any, at that time when you decided to leave?
Oh, none. I was all traditional at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, I've already sold my house, thought I was on top of the world. And I was like, oh, if I lived in it out of 2 to 5 years, all this is tax-free. This is crazy. I'm so rich. Which you're not. When you're a young kid and you have a 6-figure check in your hand, you think you're whatever.
Right.
And then I bought another house and I was like, this is great. And then I started buying cheap rentals, St. Louis, Missouri, $40,000, $50,000 houses, CD neighborhoods, Section 8 rentals, or things like that. So yeah, off of those cash flow and my nest egg, I was trying to purchase more and able to survive with my rental income. And then obviously moving to Idaho really helped. And little did I know, I, at that exact time, transitioned to even creative finance, which even helped more. My income stayed the same. My cost of living from California to Idaho dropped, and the creative finance.
Gotcha. Okay. Very cool. Would you say that creative financing, sometimes it sounds too good to be true. It really does. And so this is why it's so good to unpack this. But would you say that it truly is a viable vehicle for someone that doesn't have W-2 income?
Okay, so there's a guy called Pace Morby. He's made it very famous, or once you know, you know, and that's the hat I'm wearing. The
No,
seven.
he's been brilliant in marketing.
Yeah. The brochure to subject to is you can take over someone's loan with no cash, no credit, no credentials. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, okay, so you can just take over mortgages? What are you talking about? The
Hmm.
answer is yes, but right now, as we're talking, I don't know, interest rates are 6, 7%.
I just got a, yeah, as of today, this is in May. It said highest rates in 3 months right now. It's a little over 7.
Yeah, so I'm still buying houses at 2, 3, 4% interest rates, right? And no one has ever asked for my W-2. No one knows my credit. That part's actually easy.
Mm.
Traditional mortgage and real estate agents probably don't like this. It literally bypasses their whole economy or industry. But there's all this good debt that people have. And people are buying based on today's debt, right? The valuation of a house, you're looking at, okay, if I get 7% interest mortgage, what's my payment? Blah, blah, blah. I'm looking at houses that can't sell, that have no equity or negative equity. And that's good to define. What do you mean by negative equity? The only reason it's negative is because you're buying at 7% and this person bought at 3%. If we were at a 3% mortgage right now, that house would not have negative equity. It would be crazy equity. It would sell so fast. But unfortunately, if you're buying at 7, people are like, well, the purchase price has to come down because my down payment or my monthly payment, whatever. So I'm going up to these people and saying, hey, you can't sell. You have no equity. Let me cut you a $10,000 check. Well, what are you talking about? This is too good to be true. Your house is valuable to me, but the most valuable thing is your mortgage. I'm able to take over their payments, not assume. Keyword. In real estate, when you say assume, it's a legal term, meaning you have to go to the bank,
Right.
say, hey, I'm taking it over. Please check me out, check out my credit, put it in my name. This concept's going to be very hard, and it was hard for me to grasp. But ownership and debt are not the same thing. Meaning, I can take over the deed of a house and own it while the mortgage still stays in the original seller's name. Now we can get into why would anyone do that or whatever, but subject to is basically the act of changing the deed or title, the ownership, while the mortgage still stays in the seller's name and you're servicing that debt.
Gotcha.
The advantages become crazy. You're buying at a crazy low interest rate.
Okay.
No one's checking out your credentials. No bank, no red tape, no inspection, appraisal, none of that. And there's no 1 out of 10 rule. You can have unlimited amount of these.
Interesting. So when you were first figuring this out, I'm thinking about the eyes right now of someone that hasn't done their first creative deal and how they do that. Can you take us back through like what that first one looked like? I know a lot of investors get caught up the how-tos. Like, yes, you approach a seller, but then what? Do you use a traditional real estate contract? Is it something completely different? What does that look like?
Yeah. 2 parts to that. One, I love to people arbitrage. I never like to own anything 100% myself.
Okay.
I like to partner all the time. So there are wholesalers, just like you have in traditional real estate, that come to you and say, hey, this house is worth 400. I can sell it to you for 320 or whatever. There
Mm-hmm.
are also wholesalers in creative finance that have already have the gift of negotiating, got certain terms negotiated, have the paperwork ready, and they turn around and tell you, hey, the seller needs 10K. I also need 10K. So 20K, you can have this deal. Oh, so the deal is brought to you on a silver platter. You don't need to go find the seller. You don't need to negotiate. So I would suggest that's an easy highway to do that at first.
Right. Okay. I see that advertised a lot, especially with wholesalers in our group.
Yeah,
And they'll put those things like, seller financing at 0% interest or 2% interest or so forth. That's what they're doing.
that's right. So
Okay.
if I'm new, I don't want to learn marketing, negotiation. They're doing all that. Now, later you might say, hey, their fee is too high. I can bypass them. I'll create. That's fine. But if you're new, why not just buy off the shelf finished and done from a wholesaler. Thank you. That's what I would suggest at first. I would also suggest to partner with someone that knows what they're doing. And the advantage to partnership is huge. I mean, if I'm buying a 5-bedroom, 3-bath, and it takes $40,000 to get into the deal, and you're like, hey, I'm curious, can I invest 5 or 10,000 with you? And I'm like, yeah. Well, you don't put all the money in, but you get to see all the process, right? So that's another leverage point. I would also suggest someone new to do that instead of jumping off the cliff all by yourself, all on your shoulders.
Right.
There's such value in the first time you do
Yeah. Yeah.
holding a whole bunch. So yeah, I would suggest those.
Okay. So, Peymon, for the experienced investor, like such as yourself, if you have a new investor coming to you and wanting to partner, why would an experienced investor want to partner with a newer investor on something like this?
Yeah, I would always say, one, what kind of value do you bring? We all have different personality styles. Some people are super organized, some people aren't. Some people are idea people. Some people love short-term rentals, midterm rentals. If a midterm rental guy came up to me, or investor gal, whoever, says, I do midterm rentals all the time and I make it work. What do you mean you can buy 4% interest rate? I can say, great, I'll bring the deal. You put in some of the money so you have some skin in the game with me. But if you can perform on your side and put up the numbers you're saying you can put up, I can help buy the asset at a 4% interest rate. So there's a lot of like collaborative stuff. So if an experienced investor can say, hey, what are you bringing to the table? And some people might say, hey, I'm just new. I don't know. I just have money. Great. It's called, everyone probably hopefully knows the acronym OPN, other people's money. So if a new person wants to come and put in a couple dollars and be on the ride, great. That's not my capital. I can use it for some other things I want to do, right?
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
It depends on your value and what you're kind of bringing to the table, and we can figure out. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, because we get that question all the time, or someone just wants a mentor and they want to walk through and they're happy to partner, but they don't know what that looked like or who to ask for that and what values. That's really helpful.
I do mentor on the side, but I will say this about mentoring and partnering. The greatest example is we can sit and play poker, and I can teach you how to play poker with pretend chips. As soon as we put real money in the pot, different emotions, different instincts start happening. Yeah. It's almost the same thing. I can teach you theory. We can talk. Suddenly you put even a little bit, $1,000 in the deal. Now you see how your partners really react. Are people impatient? They want things done. They're freaking out. They can't sleep at night. They call you all hours. They don't. True colors are revealed pretty quickly. But
gotcha.
So
when you were getting started, I think we got sidetracked, but I was asking you about your first deal. Did you partner with someone? Or I heard you mention on another podcast, even, I don't even know if you were part of a formal program or anything at that time. Were you? How did you do it? How did you gain the knowledge to move forward and get your first deal done?
Yeah, the person that I partnered with, Freddie Ortega, his brother referred me, said, hey, you do real estate, put this guy on your email list. I did. He said no. I kept asking questions. He's telling me about this unreal scenario. And I'm like, okay, well, let's partner. The next time you do something like this, can I come to the title closing? What do you mean that there is no mortgage involved? What do you mean? So my first partnering was kind of like, man, if this is true, I can't let it. So I just partnered. And so for me, the light bulb aha moment is like when I see the start of the negotiation process to the finishing title insurance, escrow, done. There was no lender involved. No one telling me not to buy anything for 30 days. Behave yourself. Show all these documents. I was like, what? We can do this in 7 days? We can close as soon as we get title commitment? I love that. I'm impatient. I like to move fast. I don't like sitting on my hands for 30 days. Anyways, I really don't like the traditional purchase process. So this was everything I wanted so far.
That's awesome. It sounds like, a good fit for decisive people. Hey, Idaho friends, if you're busy like me, you're always on the lookout for trusted professionals that can help you with your business, home, and investment needs.
Whether it's a trusted lender, property manager, or a service provider that you're going to have come into your home or work on your investment property, there's always a need out there, and we want you to have great and trusted resources at the ready. In response to this, Idaho Rein has developed an exclusive vendor directory chock full of businesses that are ready to help our community. Head on over to idahorein.com, grab your free copy today, and don't forget, let them know that Idaho Rein sent you.
And when you're out there looking for these kind of deals, what kind of seller is a good candidate to approach to take on one of these? First of all, there's sub 2 and there's wrap, right? There's a difference.
That's right.
Correct? Okay, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But what kind of seller is the best candidate in general terms?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, they have a mortgage on it still.
Yeah. That's the center of the thing.
Okay.
Good debt. They have to have good debt, right? If you just bought and had a 7% mortgage, what do I want that for? So let's start there. They have to have
Okay.
good debt, whatever that is to you. 2 to 4%, 2 to 5%, I don't know. Or even 0, they own it outright, but we'll get to that later. So they have a good debt. People that can't sell, so they've been 90 days on market, 60 days on market. I need motivation or pain, right? Agents are like highly motivated. I say, oh, there's pain there. I need people that want to sell and can't. Because we're kind of in the perfect storm. We had a period where mortgage rates were great, and then they skyrocketed up. And now people are trying to sell, and they thought it was a year or 2 ago or whatever it was. So I would look for people with no equity, negative equity, even small equity, been on the market trying to list, for sale by owner. All this stuff screams to me, I want to sell, no one's buying my house. I go, okay, what debt do you have? And I don't know if people know this, but mortgage information is public knowledge. So your interest rate is just pay for PropStream or some of these programs, and you can look up people's mortgages and their interest rate. So anyways, that's the foundation. I need motivation and pain and good debt. And that's where it starts.
Okay.
There, it's whatever you negotiate.
Okay. And then you said you were going to talk about people that have owned outright, because my traditional self used to always just think, okay, just approach the sellers that have 100% equity in their property because they can do straight seller financing. Do you pursue any of that?
I have recently, and I do.
Okay.
They're a special breed because
they're not hurting financially as much, right?
Oh, they could be. But the picture we just came from is you might have a $400,000 mortgage, and here you are selling for $420 or $430, and you can't sell, and you're listed with an agent, which tells me after agent fees and closing, you're just trying to walk away. That's a whole different scenario than you own it outright. There's something happening there. One, are you the person who created that wealth? Meaning, are you the person who paid it off? Do you understand what a dollar is worth? That person might have ego and say, no, I know the price of the house. I'm selling for $500,000. That's my price. I don't need to sell. I'll wait until my price is met. Okay, fine. But they can accept a lower price, right? They don't have a mortgage company saying you owe $480.
Right.
So free and clear is a whole different kind of game. Some people inherit houses, but that's also different, right? Where they're just like, I don't know, I need to sell it, I don't care. But oh my God, my dad or mom would be so mad at me if I sold for such a low price, which traditional wholesalers try to do. Oh, I could buy for $270, $320. They're like, no, I can't do that purchase price. I said, okay, fine. We can even go $400, $420. I don't care. What kind of terms do you want to give me on it? Well, what do you mean? Well, listen, if I go right now and I get a mortgage, that's 7%. That's why you haven't been selling. The banks suck. I don't want 7% interest rate. Can you give me 4% financing? Now we get to create a mortgage, right? If they own it free and clear, now we get to create whatever we want. And that's just negotiation, identifying what a win is in their book and being transparent about what's a win in your book and go from there, I guess.
Gotcha. Cool. I don't want to skip the question that I had about what's the difference between a sub 2 and a wrap.
Yeah. So my current understanding is, and this is all, I love debates. So, anyways, a wrap, as I'm taught, is like how it sounds. You're wrapping around something. So
Okay.
if you have an original mortgage, 400,000, 2%, great. And I want to sell it to you. I will wrap around that debt. So when I sell it to you for 500,000 at 5%, I have to name, hey, there's an underlying loan here. This debt is wrapping around this mortgage. Just so you know, I'm giving you a 5% mortgage, but I have an underlying mortgage that's part of it, a smaller mortgage inside. So it's
Okay.
wraparound. So anytime I hear wraparound, there's another debt that they're layering it on top of. So there has to be an original debt. If there's not, then it's just a seller finance carry.
Gotcha. That makes so much sense.
Wrap needs to wrap around something. It could be two things. It could be a mortgage and a HELOC. It could be, but it needs to wrap around some debt.
Okay. And then sub two.
Sub two is just straight up taking
Subject.
over someone else's debt and not anything extra.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. So earlier you alluded to the thought of purchasing something and then essentially, if I understand it right,
Yeah.
reselling.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
that's right.
Okay, so what is that all called? Is that like a double wrap or something?
So the buying part is sub two.
Okay.
And when you say immediately sell, it's the way I sell.
Okay.
So I will buy sub two, I'll take over a debt, and then I will wrap it to somebody else, layer on top, and then give it to somebody else.
There you go. Okay, I put it all together for me. Thank you. That is so cool. Like I don't hear that very much in my common circles. And that sounds like it is essentially creating a win-win, because what are you doing for that ideal buyer that's going to purchase that? Is that a buyer that doesn't ordinarily qualify for a traditional mortgage?
Yeah, that's right. Drywallers, electricians, people that don't have income, don't have credit. Yeah, even investors sometimes are like, wait, you're going to sell this for 5%? Yeah, I can cash flow that as a long-term rental. I'm like, great, you do that. Well, what's the catch? I don't want to do that. Like, I'm being very transparent. I don't want to do long-term rental. So you can make the bulk of the money. I just want the passive. I know I'm making less money per property, but it's far less work and it's far more scalable. I can have 100 of these and have a fraction of the headache.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So
the
when you
game.
sell it to the end buyer, Peymon, is that an actual closing or is it like lease to own?
No, it's an actual closing.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
So you set a purchase price, you set an interest rate, and you're the bank.
Yep.
Essentially.
Down payment, servicing. Yep. You can pay any of these title companies, Title One, Pioneer. Yeah.
Fidelity. There are some of
Ellen.
our platinum business members too. So yeah, it's so interesting. I know that there's a certain title officers that are much more versed in how all this works, and that's always important to find out in your local market.
If you're a new person, I would say another thing, a little tidbit. Not all title companies are the same.
Right.
They are insurance companies. They just insure transactions. Some transactions they will, some they won't. That's all I'll say. Just you can do your own research, but they're not all the same.
Absolutely. And I think that's another reason to get plugged in with local communities, local investor communities, because you're going to find, the people that are operating in the circles that are doing the strategies are able to help you transact in the way that you need to, as long as it's legal, ethical, and all the things. Another thing I didn't want to leave today without talking about is I know that you've employed the strategy more than just Idaho, correct? Have you employed it in Idaho? And then where else are you working the strategy?
Yeah, that's a good one. We've gotten to a point where there's not enough deals in Idaho, so yes, we started moving out of state. So I've done Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, other states as well. It becomes really easy when you're buying turnkey properties that are just gorgeous and they're sitting on the market, and then you just resell them immediately.
Well, you say just, but that's that's a skill from out of state. What kind of systems do you have in place to make that happen? Do you actually go visit the properties? Do you work with a team on the ground?
Yeah, I do a home inspection. That's one. Two,
Mhm.
I want to know if someone's living in there. So if the homeowner's like, oh no, it's been vacant for 6 months and I've been trying to sell it. Oh, then yeah, I'll fly out there to go look. But typically I like to know, has someone lived in the house and a home inspection? Hopefully that gives me enough of a view that I don't need to go fly out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I can turn around and even ask a real estate agent, hey, you can list this on the MLS. Say I'll do a seller carry. Tell them I'll do owner financing and just drop in, I'll do 5% or 4% interest rate. And the call's
Perfect.
come, right? People are like, what do
Right.
you're going to carry for 4%? Oh my God. Yeah,
And that's the only way that you'll typically sell that.
that's right. Because
Right.
traditionally it won't sell. That's right.
Right. Okay. Perfect. And then how do you actually find out of state you're buying off MLS? Are you doing outbound marketing to these areas to get
When-
the properties?
yeah. So I don't buy mostly on market. I buy from wholesalers normally.
Okay, I figured. So you're developing relationships in markets that you're tapping.
That's right.
What is your criteria for finding a market?
Yeah. So I try to have a population size of 20,000 or more. I am breaking that rule here in Idaho as I understand the intricacies and smaller markets and what's going on. But especially when I go out of state, that's pretty big. In my childhood, too, almost every 2 years, I've jumped around Texas, Philadelphia, all over the state. I'm used to understanding different areas in the United States, too. So that kind of helps when people say, like, oh, Georgia. I've never been to Georgia, but from Google Maps, I can like zoom in and be like, ah, I see how the city is structured. Yeah, okay. I think I have an idea of like how this town is. It helps if you travel a lot.
Okay,
But yeah.
cool. What would you say to folks that do have a full-time job and they're just dipping their toes in investing? This sounds so cool. They're relieved they don't have to put down a 25% down and all this sort of thing. Is it too good to be true, or is it doable for someone that is a busy person to pick
Yeah.
up a property like this?
Yeah. Yeah. So the brochure version is, of course you can, anyone can do it.
Right.
Real version of it is when you say busy, I want to know, are you emotionally spent when you come home? No energy? What's busy to you?
Gotcha.
People have different categories, right? Capital, energy, skill, time. Where are you in all these categories? Let's take stock.
Right.
And once you take stock, find your opposite, right? So the person that's out there with the high paying W-2 job that's super tired, that wants passive income, I say, hey, I stay home all day. I don't have a job. I have all the time in the world. I can call, do due diligence. So I have the time. You don't have the time. Cool. You have capital. I do too, but I rather use yours. That's fine. What are your goals? Are we aligned? So I would say seek partnerships, especially while you're trying to build enough income to whatever your goal is. Do you not want to work? Do you want to phase out of the W-2? Maybe you love what you do or don't want to. Maybe you just want to have more income. Great.
Mhm.
So just be transparent about where you are in each bucket: money, time, energy, skill. Find partners that complement whatever you are in those categories and align in the same goal. Because doing it all yourself is a pressure cooker of a situation for a bad ending. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you come
Yeah.
home after your job and someone's calling you about a toilet or something, and then you have to this, and then your wife comes and you blow up on her, or your husband comes and you're just yelling at him. And then it affects your personal life or kids. And you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that answer a lot. I think that's really important. And for those that do have the emotional and mental capacity to take something on, another thing just to encourage anyone out there is like, It's amazing how much you can get done and how much education you can get yourself if you just take advantage of those spare hours in your day. Have the right things you're listening to in the car, on your treadmill, or wherever you are in throughout the day, and then have focus. In fact, I think sometimes that's a lot more effective than people that quit everything and they're like, okay, this is my new career. I'm going to be the real estate investor. But then there's so much time, it's almost prohibitive because they just have so much time and they have a false illusion of what they think they're going to get done. And then they wind up hanging out all the time and going to meetups all the time. I know people that are professional meetup goers too, and which is awesome. We want you there. But if you're going for the last 4 years and you've never pulled the trigger on anything and you call yourself a real estate investor, I'm so sorry, but you're not a real estate investor. So you have to move forward on something. And sometimes when you have those little time blocks, you can be way more efficient and get things done. So that's my soapbox there.
Well, let me echo some of the things that maybe will get people off the sideline and into the party. One, there it is, man in the arena quote.
Ooh.
Which is basically, if people have never heard the quote, is get in and get your hands dirty. You sitting there, analysis paralysis, want to know the easiest way, best way. I'm already made 14 mistakes and figured out what works. That's invaluable. And here you are 4 years later, starting at step 1. I'm on step 205. That's 1.
Right.
2, there's an effect where you find something new, the grass is green, you love it, everything looks amazing, and then, oh, it's a little harder than you thought. Wait, it's not as easy as advertised. We call it the valley of death in entrepreneur land, where everyone quits or jumps to a new strategy.
Right.
And then there's the people that stick through it and now figured out everything. That's why you want a partner. You find that person that's been through the hard. And then number 3, which what you mentioned, is sometimes if you set a time, hey, I'll clean my room in 20 minutes. It gets done in 20 minutes. Or I'll clean my room in 2 hours. And ta-da, it gets done in 2 hours. So
right.
Set a deadline. And it's funny how everything starts moving in a different rhythm. So
I'm sure you learned a lot today, but Paymon's really going to be diving into the strategy at fall, October 10th. So make sure and grab your ticket for that. And then I'm excited. Congratulations for finishing your first year of newlywedhood, right? I don't know if that's the right term. But anything exciting on the horizon on a personal level the next couple of years and pushing you further and farther to new heights?
Yeah, personal. I guess we always are wrapped up in work and stuff like that. But yeah, no, excited to start a family, I'm right now 37. So in the phase of my life, it's that time. I know most people get started probably earlier than me, but yeah, I'm just excited to be every age and just what comes with it. So I know too many times we're analytical, real estate based,
right?
Money. I want to make this much more passive income to do this, but it's nice to just look at life and be like, there's other forms of how fit are you? How's your family life? How's your friends? How's your net? There's other ways to appreciate life. So
100%. I think there's a growing sentiment of just, it's not all about the hustle. And I think especially in the last decade, there was so much out there about 10X, and which has some great points, right? But hustle. And we're going to break through walls and all of that. But really, the further along I get in my journey and watching how time quickly passes and kids grow and all that sort of thing, we are so passionate at Idaho Rain, and I am personally, about people creating the life that they imagined. And the real estate is the vehicle to help us get that. And we got to keep that top of mind, that it's about creating the life of freedom that we work so hard to get. So that's cool.
Yeah. And when you have that goal in mind, for example, I want a more quality family life and stay at home more and develop more of a relationship with my daughter or son. Okay, so if I'm on a deal and a phone call comes, I don't yell at my kids to be quiet or shush them real quick, and they remember that while I'm trying to close a deal, but I'm doing that because I want to, what am I doing? So, having that front of mind to be like, this is the reason.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Everything is complementary. Just prioritizing correctly. But yeah.
Right. Cool. Love your answer. Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. We're looking forward to getting to know you more this year, meeting you in person very soon in Boise, and having others have the opportunity to do so at Idaho Recon coming up this fall. Yeah, please feel free to come on down to Boise and join us at one of our events one of these days. And I know there's a lot of great people that are more interested in all these cool things that you're doing. And I appreciate you having the time today to be on the show.
Thank you for all this. I mean, you're bringing it to the light, so big ups to you. And yeah, I'm excited to meet in person, actually. So yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, this has been a really fun episode. I hope you took notes. May have to listen to it twice. There was a lot on here. I learned some things like I always do, and I hope all of you have a fantastic day. Let's go and grow. Well, that's a wrap for today. Thanks for joining me here at the Idaho Real Estate Investors Show. I hope you're leaving with new insights and inspiration to help you truly grow wealth through real estate. If you enjoyed the show, do me a favor. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with those that can benefit from it. Go and grow, and I'll catch you on the next episode.